Welcome to AI Pulse. This week, we're tracking a story that has absolutely everything: a high stakes ethical standoff, a government ban, and a shocking twist involving military airstrikes.
The whole thing is just wild. We're talking hours, literally hours, after the US government officially banned an AI from the company Anthropic, the military turns around and uses that exact same software to help coordinate airstrikes in the Middle East.
Okay, so you've got to be asking, right? How on earth did an AI company's ethical stand spiral into an international crisis in just 1 week? All right, let's break this down, because the story of how we got here involves this high-stakes showdown between one of the world's top AI companies and the Pentagon, a standoff that played out in just 5 incredible days. So, at the heart of all this is the AI company Anthropic and its really powerful model, Claude. After months and months of negotiations with the Pentagon, the talks were about to hit a massive breaking point. See, Anthropic had basically drawn a line in the sand, two clear ethical boundaries, or red lines, as they called them. They argued that current AI just isn't reliable enough for fully autonomous weapons that could take a human completely out of the loop. And they warned that AI could enable mass surveillance of Americans on a scale we've never seen before, even if it was technically lawful. But the Pentagon? They saw it very, very differently. They demanded what they called unfettered access for all lawful purposes, arguing that company-specific safety limits were an unacceptable risk to national security. And right there, that set the stage for a huge conflict. And the situation just escalated with breathtaking speed. It all kicked off on a Tuesday with a meeting between the defense secretary and Anthropic CEO that ended in a total stalemate, went nowhere. By Thursday, Anthropic goes public, reaffirming its red lines. The government's response was blunt, a 48-hour ultimatum: comply or you're blacklisted. So that Friday deadline comes and goes, Anthropic doesn't back down, and the government's response was, just as promised, incredibly swift and severe. I mean, this was unprecedented. President Trump himself ordered all federal agencies to stop using Claude. Then the Pentagon designated Anthropic a supply chain risk. That's a classification that's never been applied to a U.S. company before, and it effectively cut them off from all military-related business. Just as Anthropic was facing its biggest crisis ever, a huge wave of public support started to build, seemingly out of nowhere. A full-on consumer revolt erupted online. Using the hashtag #CancelChatGPT, users protested the fact that rival OpenAI did have military partnerships, and they started deleting its app and switching over to Claude. And get this, by Saturday, Claude had shot past ChatGPT to become the #1 downloaded app in the US. So while Anthropic was getting punished in public, its competitors were making some very strategic moves behind the scenes. Now, what's really interesting here is how OpenAI played this. Just hours after Anthropic was banned, OpenAI announced its own deal with the Pentagon. Super clever move. They accepted the all lawful purposes language that Anthropic refused, but they built in these contractual safeguards to basically get the same result. So in the end, they got the safety measures, the Pentagon got the legal phrasing, and OpenAI walked away with the contract. This quote from a former military AI official suggests this whole thing might have been less about policy and more about politics. Observers pointed to large donations to a pro-Trump super PAC from OpenAI's president, suggesting that this conflict was really about which companies were in favor with the administration and which were not. But this political drama is just one piece of the puzzle. Because while this huge fight was raging in Washington, the technology itself just kept accelerating at a dizzying pace. In the markets, new AI agents capable of automating complex work sparked a total panic, wiping out over $1 trillion from traditional software stocks in just a few weeks, as investors realized entire business models are now at risk. And this just illustrates the sheer scale of the investment fueling this revolution. OpenAI announced one of the largest private funding rounds in history, raising $110 billion to expand its AI infrastructure. And this brilliantly shows you where all that money is going. NVIDIA posted record quarterly revenue of over $68 billion, almost entirely from the insatiable demand for the data center chips needed to build the AI factories of the future. And it is not just about the money. The pace of actual innovation this week was breathtaking. Google launched a new image model, Microsoft previewed an AI that can literally run your errands, and even Anthropic, in the middle of all this chaos, acquired a company to give Claude new skills. It's an absolute fire hose of progress, right down to building the AI-native 6G networks of tomorrow. And this brings us right back to where we started. The deep irony is that just hours after the administration declared Anthropic's AI a supply chain risk, the U.S. Central Command was using that same software for intelligence assessments and target identification in the airstrikes on Iran. This week's events really reveal a conflict that's not just between a single company and a government. It's a clash between ethics, raw politics, financial markets, and the unstoppable, accelerating force of technology itself. And the question it leaves us with is, as AI changes everything, who is really pulling the levers?